We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Greg. Got some pictures for Greg, too. He has a 5.2.4 Atmos setup using Denon AVR X4200W receiver, EMP Tech speakers, the EMP Tech 1010i subwoofer, and one SVS SB12 NSD subwoofer. He actually already owns a second EMP Tech 1010i subwoofer that he's been using upstairs, and thanks to SVS's Black Friday sale, he now has a second SB12 NSD. So he's got four subwoofers. And the 1010, that's the dual that's got two 10-inch drivers and stuff like that.
One on top of the other.
Yeah, one on top of the
other.
other.
A little bit taller.
That's a pretty decent little sub there, too, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it's a decent little sub, yeah.
Okay. So he's strongly considering making his system a 5.4.4 setup with the two SB12 NSD subs up in the front corners and the two EMP Tech 1010 subs in the rear corners. So, okay, should we address whether or not that's a good idea to begin with? I mean,
yeah, I guess so.
Before we get to the rest of this, let's just go with that.
Sure.
Now remind us of what do you know off the top of your head with how they compare as far as output and performance?
So as far as I recall, the 1010i's can play louder than the SB12
Right.
NSDs, but they have similar extension.
Okay.
Both of them go down to around 24, 23 hertz. So extension-wise, they're pretty darn similar. The 1010i's can play a little bit louder.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I wouldn't say these are grossly mismatched subs.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That was kind of my recollection too. I didn't know if you had the stats on you. So I've got no problems with you doing this in general. This is a fine thing to do. I mean, it'll give you evener or more more uniform bass response, which can be evened out by your Audyssey in a little bit here. So first, would he have to rerun Audyssey? Yes. He wouldn't be changing anything about his two current subwoofers. He'd just be using Y splitters as a second SB12 NSD up front and the second EMP Tech 1010 at the back. Yeah, you have to rerun it, dude. You got to rerun. Anytime you make a change, you have to rerun it. I mean, technically, if you change the toe-in of your speakers, you should rerun it.
You have changed the sound wave pattern in your room, which is the whole idea of going to four subs over two. The whole idea is that you have already created more uniform response from seat to seat, and most likely slightly more linear response as well. And since you have most likely created more linear response, you need to do the EQ again, because previously it was trying to EQ whatever the response was when you had two subs, and now that it's even more even and linear, in all likelihood, you don't want to be EQing something away from linearity when it was already there. So yes, you definitely need to run Audyssey.
And remember, your receiver does not have four outputs, so you will need to calibrate these things yourself. So you can use your receiver to do that, but you're going to have to do each. Depends on where you have them, where your microphone is in placement to your subs.
Like, since he's setting these up symmetrically, it makes sense that the two subs that are at the front of the room are probably equidistant from the mic.
Yes.
And the two subs at the back of the room are equidistant from the mic, so it totally makes sense to go,
Unless he's like, I mean, I don't know. Like, let's pretend that he has a room that's like some of these are, where the room, the home theater portion is on one side of a room. So then he's putting them all four corners. That means that two on the left side may be very close, and the two on the right side may be very far away. In which case, you would put whichever
doesn't appear
ones.
To be the case in the photos, though. So
yeah, I'm not looking at the photos. It's not important to me.
I know.
So, but yes, it makes sense to do the two ones up front together and two ones in the back together. And then once you get those so that the two are acting they're the same volume together up front, and the two in the back are the same volume together, and in the back, then you plug them all in at the same time, and you have it EQ everything, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and he has a receiver that has Mult EQ XT32 with sub EQ HT, so it does a nice job of basically walking you through that process. So you should be just fine. That should work out nicely. But yes, run Audyssey again for sure.
Right now, he's using a 106-inch Grey Wolf screen that's large enough that he has to push his couch right against the back wall, and the screen needs to be flush mounted to the front wall in order to have a long enough throw distance with this current projector. He has a flat panel TV, but that is mounted on the side wall. We'd like to improve upon this setup. He'd particularly like to get his couch away from the back wall, maybe put his flat panel on the front wall behind a roll-down screen. So does it make sense to downsize to a 92-inch screen in order to achieve this? Yeah, I think it does.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is a great idea. This is one of my favorite types of setups where you have a flat panel and a roll-down screen, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at your TV, isn't it nice?" And you're like, "Yeah." You press the button, woo, screen comes down. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're a magic man with your magic screen." Yeah. That's my favorite setup.
Yeah. And it looks as though his seating is, essentially a couch. I don't know. I mean, I guess technically it's a love seat, but it looks like one where each of the two sides of the love seat are a little bit wider, so you could probably fit 3 people on there, but it's not quite a full 3-seater couch. So I don't think there'd be much problem moving that width of the seat closer to your screen so that you maintain the same viewing angle, the same field of view that gets you off your back wall, that allows you to put your TV where you want it to be. Yeah, I think that's a fine plan. I know it always seems weird to go to a smaller screen size, right? That's
you're moving it closer. So
why would I go smaller? But yeah, I think it makes sense.
All right, with the new setup, you have the option of putting the 4 subwoofers at the midpoints of the 4 walls rather than the 4 corners. So should he do this, he definitely need to rerun Audyssey for that, correct? Yeah, I would not do that, what you just suggested, because it actually makes it harder for you to figure out where which subs to pair up. You want the two that are the same distance.
That's true.
To the mic. So uniformity wise, it makes more sense to have, because I mean, we know that the best is the midpoints of all 4 walls. Okay, but
right.
If you don't have 4 independent subwoofer inputs that can be independently calibrated, then you cannot do that, because you need 2 subs to be generally the same distance from you so that you can level match them and the phase won't be off, if that makes sense. And the same, and that's why I would not suggest that. You were going to suggest it. You were going to say it was a good idea.
Not necessarily, because the advantage over having the 4 corners placement is small.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be awkward too, having in this room and then having the seat away from the back wall and having 2 subs on the midpoints of the side walls, because this isn't a tremendously wide room to begin with.
It does look that way. I mean, from the pictures, it's very hard to see. I did click over to the pictures.
Yeah, I would just consider that more awkward. I don't think the benefit of slightly more uniform base, because again, you don't have a huge seating area anyway. So how uniform do we need to be?
Yeah.
So
I think you'll be fine
I think the
with
4
this.
corners placement makes more sense in this setup. Yeah.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.